CNN's Joey Chen.
El Nino may be the weather buzzword of 1997, but the name's been around a long time. Centuries ago, fishermen off the coast of South America noticed that in certain years, the Pacific Ocean's waters grew warmer around Christmas time. And so the holiday gave this weather phenomenon its name. You see, in Spanish, the baby Jesus is El Nino, the little boy. Now, the purpose of this next hour is not to try to scare you to death, but simply to point out that somewhere in that great expanse of ocean behind me, things already are different. In past years, such changes were associated with storms, droughts, the kind of weather that could have an impact on your home, your kitchen table, your family, even your job. Now, before we consider what may be coming, let's figure out exactly what an El Nino is. First, to fully understand what happens in an El Nino, we need to know what happens in a normal season. Most years, tropical trade winds blow from east to west along the equator in the Pacific. The winds literally drag the warm surface of the water with them, west across the Pacific, piling it along Australia, New Guinea, and the Asian coast, where it helps fuel huge thunderstorms. This is how the cycle works most years. But every 2 to 7 years, for reasons still not fully understood, the normal weather pattern breaks down. The trade winds weaken, or even blow in reverse, which sets off a new chain reaction. The warm surface water stays put, growing to become an enormous bath, and the Pacific storm factory shifts eastward. Massive storms push warm air and moisture all the way up to the jet streams, which are like weather transport systems. Transport systems that are forced to change directions and intensity, bringing unusual weather to many parts of the world. Normally dry regions, such as Southern California and the U.S. Gulf Coast, can have torrential rains and flooding. Areas like northeastern Brazil, southeastern Africa, and Australia may see severe droughts, which can lead to massive crop failures and fires. And in the Atlantic, the redirected jet streams can knock the punch out of hurricanes and tropical storms. Watching the waves along the beach here, it's hard to imagine that this is ground zero for El Nino in the United States. The West Coast surely feels it first, but in an El Nino season, the long reach of the system quickly embraces all of us. To help you understand what we mean, snapshots now of what to expect from El Nino across the country this year.
This is Charles Zewe in Colorado. Fall's first snows are already dusting the Rockies, where forecasters think El Nino will bring intense blizzards.
Because those will be very moist systems capable of producing copious snowfalls in the areas that they do hit.
The last big El Nino in 1982 dumped 24 inches of snow on Denver in 24 hours. Heaviest snow this time is forecast for the southern Rockies and New Mexico. But in the central and northern Rockies, forecasters are saying snowfall could be below normal. And that could mean bad things for resort owners. Ski lifts are ready. Shops are stocked.
It's like a lot of snow up here.
But the last time El Nino hit here, there was so little snow, the Keystone Ski Resort had to close down for a time.
We will have to step up our snow grooming efforts, take the snow that we do have, work it, spread it out, cover up thin areas.
At the largest Ford four-wheel drive dealer in the U.S., El Nino fear has spiked sales.
People like to have the freedom to go when they want to go, and being caught for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, they don't like.
Across Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, it's been raining more than usual in recent weeks. It could stay that way all winter. On the upside, in the Midwest tornado belt this coming spring, experts say El Nino's upper-level winds could help shear off some of the storm systems that would normally give birth to tornadoes.
I'm Jeff Flock, and this is Iroquois County, Illinois, where a big harvest is already coming in.
There's a reasonably decent length there.
It's a great year compared to the last time we asked Marvin Perzee to show us an ear. That was in 1988, after the last big El Nino drought destroyed his entire crop.
Just can't give away a whole year and expect to get it back. It takes probably 8-10 years to get back after you've had a year like 88.
There is worry again now, with the only potential positive. Farmers who have a crop next year could get more for it.
we go into a dry spring next year, the sky could be the limit on corn and soybean prices.
Bottom line on down the line, maybe a 7% rise in food prices on top of inflation if there's a drought.
It's noticeable, but yet it's not devastating. What you won't see are empty shelves.
Just to be safe, farmers are already thinking about planting next year's crop early and planting more drought-resistant strains of corn and soybeans to head off another El Nino disaster.
This is Ed Garston in Lewiston, Michigan, where the lush green golf courses of the Garland Resort give way to a blanket of snow each winter, to the delight of cross-country skiers. But with El Nino apparently on its way, there's a chance skiers will be out of luck.
If we look at climatological records and weather patterns during El Nino events, we find here in Michigan and in the upper Midwest a tendency for milder and in some cases drier than normal winters.
At Garland, the owners have a backup plan.
And we're getting more into cross-country skis that have wheels on them, and people can actually ski on the cart paths.
In Houghton Lake, where snowmobiling moves the economy, the thought of a warmer winter is frightening.
If we don't have snow, if we don't have some type of cold weather, it'll hurt us tremendously.
Mary, good, Jerry. Good girl.
But meteorologist Jeff Andreessen says not to worry. Normal temperatures in Michigan are so cold, a rise of 5 to 10 degrees won't be able to keep the fairways green all winter long.
This is Brian Cabell in Atlanta, the hub of the South, where experts say El Nino might produce wetter and colder conditions. And just a little bit wetter and a little bit colder than usual can have a big impact on this region, where just an inch of snow can shut down schools and cause havoc on the roads. Snow, sleet, and freezing rain bring back bad memories here. The ice storm of 1992, sliding cars slipping out of control, broken pines crashing down on power lines, power outages that leave thousands of people in the dark. Why so little snow in the South? Because the moisture from the Gulf and the Arctic blast from Canada usually don't arrive here simultaneously. El Nino could increase the number of times they collide.
This is John Zarella in Miami. El Nino may act a lot like a spoiled brat, but it does not throw its meteorological temper tantrums everywhere. The weather phenomenon is credited with nearly shutting down the entire 1997 Atlantic hurricane season.
It cuts down on the risk to not only the United States, but also the Caribbean islands and Central America. Yeah, so overall it's viewed as a pretty good thing.
This was supposed to be the third active hurricane season in a row. But because of El Nino, the calm winds in the Atlantic, which normally give violent storm clouds a chance to develop, were replaced by a stiff breeze. That stiff breeze produced by El Nino literally shears the tops off the storm clouds. Meteorologists say El Nino not only reduces the number of Atlantic hurricanes that form, it also limits the strength of those that do develop. But it doesn't eliminate them completely, and it only takes one. 1992 was an El Nino year. Just a couple of hurricanes formed. One of them was Andrew, the costliest natural disaster in U.S. history.
As you can see, there are plenty of people who could be affected by El Nino's troubled waters. But the real worry is here on the California coast. Folks who live in houses like these, or even inland, have been through it all before. Stay with us. We'll see what they're doing to get ready this time.
Some researchers blame past El Ninos for the biblical plagues in Egypt, the 90 days of rain reported by Lewis and Clark, and the 1930s Dust Bowl.